Hello, everyone, and welcome to the December 24th, 2015 episode of Balls Deep Sports Talk. I am your host with the almost, Scotty Ball, and you heard that correctly. I am recording this show on Christmas Eve. A very Merry Christmas to you and yours here on this Christmas Eve. Whatever you find yourself doing, make sure you travel safe. And yeah, that was, like I said, it's a little odd for me as we usually do the show on Wednesdays here, which would have been Christmas Eve. That was the plan. But it's a hectic time of year, and my schedule ended up working out where the only chance I'm getting to do the show this week is Christmas Eve morning. So that's what we're doing. That's the sacrifice I'm making to talk sports to you this week. Now, I know I say this quite often, but considering the day of the year that it is, I can guarantee you that this will be a shorter episode than usual, somewhere around the hour to an hour and a half mark is all. It's the holidays. You're busy. You don't have more time than that to listen to sports talk anyway, and I don't have more time than that to talk sports unless I'm on your couch or something. But anyway, thanks again for finding your way to the show this Christmas week, and we will be talking sports as we always do every week. No weeks off here, going balls deep. Few quick show notes, and then we'll get into our outline of topics for this week, because it's going to be like this is going to be the speed version of the show. We're going to see how fast we can get through everything, how focused we can be, how non-redundant and repetitive I can be. So, going to be a challenge. But like I said, just a little bit of show news. As you probably are aware now, the show, the internet radio station website, WNLMradio.com, is still under reconstruction. Hopefully sometime early in 2016 that will be back up and running, and we will be getting the TuneIn app as a broadcast platform back with that as well. However, in the meantime, we are being brought to you on YouTube, on SoundCloud, and my personal favorite, the completely free Spreaker app. That's Spreaker. Simply go to your Play or iStore and download it for free and enjoy the current episode, the recent episode of the show, as well as many, many past episodes of the show at your fingertips, 24/7 on demand, as whenever you like. It's fantastic. And of course, to stay in touch with me and the show and what's all happening with the show, or what's happening in the sports world news-wise as well, follow me on Twitter, please. The handle is @BDSTShow. Or you can like and friend me on Facebook. Simply search Scotty-Ball. You'll see the Green Balls Deep Sports Talk logo. If you don't see that, it ain't me. Oh, it ain't me, babe. It ain't me. All right. So let's give you the rough idea of what we're going to be talking about on this week's compact, condensed down version of the show for the holiday season. Because if you're a regular listener, that there is nothing we won't sink our balls into. There is no game too big, and no ball is too big. But we will still have a slightly, smaller than usual, as I mentioned, list of topics. It will be heavy football this week on the show, just so you know. We will be discussing the college bowls that have taken place up until this point, as well as the bowl games that are happening today and throughout the rest of the weekend until we talk next week on what would be New Year's Eve, I expect. At least that's the plan. So there will be college football talk, as well as, of course, lots of NFL football talk, with only 2 weeks of the season remaining. Playoff picture taking a much clearer shape now. Vikings sitting very good, basically 99.999% chance that they are already clinched. There is a 1 in a million chance that they could not make the playoffs. 1 in a million? So you're telling me there's a chance. But I will be giving you all of your Vikings info and news that you need to know, as well as league news. Plenty of league news to discuss, like I said, both playoff picture-wise, as well as other things such as Pro Bowlers. We've learned who the Pro Bowlers are, so I'll be letting you know that. I'd also like to get to my discussion finally on who, are the coaches that we need to watch on the hot seats that can and likely will get fired, as well as a possible suspension involving an on-field, I should say not an on-field, involving on-field incidents, multiple incidents, last week in the Carolina-New York game involving defensive back and defensive player of the year for Carolina, Josh Norman, defensive player of the year candidate, Josh Norman, and then all-world cover of Madden superstar wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. of the New York Giants. Big NFL story from last week there. You will be definitely getting my thoughts on that, as well as the Vikings coming off of a great team win at home against the Bears, where Teddy accounted for all 5 touchdowns that the Vikings scored. We'll be going over the film, as I only saw the game on TV once this week, and that was when I watched film, because thanks to the world's greatest sister, I was in attendance, 4th row, Jumbotron end zone, at the Vikings game against the Bears last week, and noticed that I had tons of regular Balls Deep listeners. My Balls Deep army, my weekly Balls Deep goers, were also at the game. Facebook and Twitter started blowing up with, all these people who listen to the show weekly that were at the game as well. So that was awesome to see. Great game for all of us to be at. Weather even wasn't too bad. But yeah, we got plenty of Vikings talk on the Purple Vein segment, as always. So lots of football to squeeze into this short show. We've got some NHL to discuss. Wild playing fairly well. We always try to check in on mine, possibly your Minnesota Wild, as well as give you a quick swing around the league for anything that's going on. NBA as well. We check in with the Wolves. We go around the league, which this year is the Golden State Warriors, or at least that's the league that everybody cares about. So we'll check in there too. Not sure then. All of these are on the possible, quickies or first to cut topics lists, as they're not all that hot and interesting, and I don't know. We got to cut some stuff probably this week. So college basketball, soccer scandal, stuff involving Sepp Blatter, FIFA president, and his ongoing trials. UFC. Not a whole lot, since we went over the fallout of 194 last week, and then WWE kind of now in Christmas vacation mode as well, after last week's huge, Sunday TLC pay-per-view and Monday Raw. So those are all on the possible chopping block for this week, but we will definitely be talking plenty of NFL football. We'll be talking some college football. We will be talking some hockey and some NBA. I can guarantee you those 4 topics on this week's show. All right, now I would like to make just a quick announcement in regards to next week's show, and then we will get on with our hit opening segment. But in regards to next week's show, as I mentioned earlier, next week is New Year's week, where we have New Year's Eve on Thursday and New Year's Day on Friday. Not sure if I will be doing a Wednesday night or Thursday morning, possibly again, show next week, but I will be doing a show, I promise you. But now, in relation to next week's show, or in regards to next week's show, what I'd like to plug is the fact that most shows, like you listen to sports talk shows, music radio shows, even a lot of TV type of stuff, depending on what you're watching. This is the time of year where everybody likes to have their little, year-end countdowns, or whatever, So, keeping in that theme, I have comprised a top 15 of 15 list for next week's show. A year-end top 15 list of the top 15 athletes, the top 15 people, sports athletes, that captivated us as sports fans, that really owned the year. So like, for example, very likely that, Serena Williams will be on there, for example, as she had 3 Grand Slam wins in a row and was going for the 4th one, made it to the semifinals and had the huge upset. However, there are other people on there, like, say, let's see, try to think of someone who's at least a candidate for the list. Like a Dustin Johnson from the golf world, who, was in the golf spotlight a lot this year, but never actually won. It was always he was the guy choking, and then all the off the field, off the course, spicy stories that you would hear pop up about him as well. So it doesn't have to be just success based. It's the people who warranted our attention the most throughout the year of 2015. So I am very excited to bring you that top 15 list on next week's show. Look forward to that. All right, so let's get to it. Let's get down and dirty. All right. Now that everybody knows the short list of topics, they got their wagers placed on what the honorary opening segment topic is going to be. And so let's announce it. Everybody say it with me. 1, 2, 3. Balls on fire. That's right. What has got me, Scotty Ball, the most on fire? Balls on fire, so hot they are boiling. And I'll bet a lot of you regular listeners think it's going to be the Minnesota Vikings. And why not? Why shouldn't it be the Minnesota Vikings? I mean, I was at the game on Sunday. I painted my face for it. It totally rocked. Vikings are pretty clinched, basically clinched in a playoff spot where we will at worst be the 6th seed traveling to Green Bay. Worst case scenario in this playoffs is either that we're the 6th, mathematically, technically, measurably the worst scenario the Vikings could get is we're the 6th seed and we go to Green Bay in week 1. But we're in the playoffs. Vikings made the playoffs. Zimmer's 2nd year. Teddy's 2nd year. We're in the playoffs. Playoffs. That's right. So, why shouldn't I start balls on fire with the Vikings? I'm heated up about it. I'm on fire about it. Well, I'm actually not. I'm going with a different topic. That's right. There is something else outside of the Vikings specifically, that I am fired up about, and that I'm going to start this week's show with. And then we will, we'll get to the Vikings talk in our Purple Vein segment, like we always do. But this week, the topic, or should I say the man, we will be discussing for Balls on Fire is none other than Odell Beckham Jr. That's right. OBJ, as some people call him. ODB Jr., as I call him. Old Dirty Bastard Jr. But yes, ODB Jr., OBJ, Odell Beckham Jr., Old Dirty Bastard Jr., whichever you prefer to call him. That is the man, that is the story, that is the situation that has got me the most fired up this week. I've discussed this story with Dan Barrero on Bumper to Bumper this week on KFan. Thank you very much, Dan, again, for having me on, taking my call. But in case you missed it, we had one of the most disturbing, unique situations that I've ever seen in sports unfold last week.